Is what's happening. So just remove the bed off this J10. Run this cable down through the insides of the pockets, and I put a couple eyelets there. Picked it up with a wrecker. Pretty simple. So now I'm going to load that bed onto the car trailer, drag the torch out, cut the rear section of this frame off, because I want to repair the other J10 with the rear section of this frame because it's in a much better shape. I will clean it up and paint it. It looks like somebody's cleaned it up once before, probably when they put that bed on this thing. What's kind of interesting with these J10s or 20s, the gas tank is actually bolted to the bed of the floor. It's got straps that bolt to the bottom of the bed, so it actually doesn't bolt to the frame. That gas tank's actually trash. We won't be reusing it. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this thing around and get started on the next phase of this project. So I'll get the bed off, set it on the car trailer. Sorry I didn't video much of it. It is hot out here. I mean, it is hot. Whew. I just got done running that thing, moving this stuff around. So now what I'm going to do is, actually there was 6 1/4-inch plates of steel sitting here. I moved them over to there. At the old house, I'd built a pad out of these plates in front of one of the garage doors so I could work outside because it had a stone driveway. Well, when I moved, I kept all the plates. So that's a plate there. I just set them all up over there alongside that carport because that's where the rollback lives. I usually park it over there. And it's, where's it at? Oh, there it is. It's down there. So I got one more plate to move, and I'll set the rollback over there. Once I'm done that, I got to cut the grass, unfortunately. And it looks like rain, and it is hot out here. But the next phase is going to be pick this thing up, block the front of the frame up there, and I'm just going to whack it. I'm just going to cut it right there. And I'm just going to throw a tarp over the front half of this. This is the corner of the property up here. Actually, it looked like they had a fire pit there at one time, but eventually down the road, way down the road, I'm going to put another building over here someday. Long time from now. But we're talking about Jeep projects today. So that's the next phase. I'm going to pick it up, set some blocks under the back of the cab on the frame, probably just some center blocks and some blocks of wood. It's not much weight there. There's no motor, no trans in it. And we're just going to whack it off even with the back of the cab. Because where I'm actually going to splice this thing is I'm actually going to splice it right here. I'm going to cut it on an angle. I'm going to take this cross member out because it's just riveted in. And I'll do that on the other Jeep as well. And that's where I'm going to splice it. I'm going to splice it right in here is where I'm pretty sure I'm going to do it. This seems to be the flattest spot of the frame. I can plate it on the inside and I can bolt that cross member back in. It'll be fine. This frame's in really good shape compared to our other Jeep. Our other Jeep, all of our hangers are rotted out. And these hangers are actually welded to the frame. These are actually all welded to the frame, and these ones are really good shape. Now our other frame, where our shocks mount's all rotted out, and we've got some bad rot up in the corner where that cross member goes across. Eventually down the road, and I'm talking down the road, I'm going to put a frame in the truck. But right now, we're trying to get it to a Jeep event next month. We're under a crunch, so I don't have time to swap out the frame. But I do have a frame for the truck. So I do have another frame. But we're going to try to push like mad to get this thing rolling, tagged, and down there. I don't care if it's 12 colors. It's going down there. So look, holla at your boy. Keeps it reals. Stay hydrated. Because it's hot out here today. Got the clouds out now. Man, the sun was out about 15 minutes ago, and it's just about killing me. I'm not used to this. I'm fat, old, tired. So yeah, I'm getting ready to unhook the trailer now. And move that plate, put the rollback back. I gotta cut the grass. Everybody's favorite chore. And for the guys that want to know why, I just set it on the car trailer to get it out of my way. This is how I rigged it up. Let me spin you around real fast. I'm gonna show you how I picked it up. So there's really no way to pick this thing up. So I ran a piece of cable. The pocket is open at the end, and I went around, looped it, cable clamped it to the body mount on both sides. And then I was able to put my cable through and pick it up with a wrecker. Now on the back half of the bed, there's 2 mounting holes already in the floor. So I went to the hardware store and I bought 2 eyelets, dropped them through the holes, put a big washer on the end, spun the nut on, and then just used another cable and picked it up. Now with using a wrecker, it's a piece of cake. I mean, it makes life easy. And unfortunately, not everybody has a wrecker, twin line wrecker to make life easy, but phew, sure did. Probably use the same method with an engine crane and going from the back, but since I own a wrecker, that makes my life a little easier. This bed is really heavy. This is a lot heavier than like a Chevrolet or a Ford bed. This thing's really pretty stout. It's pretty heavy. I couldn't pick one corner of it up when I was unbolting it. I was trying to pick it up to make sure it was broke free from the frame. Whew. She's heavy, so I'm not looking forward to moving this thing. So I stuck it on the I stuck it on the trailer, that way I can move it around and try to clean up underneath of it. It looks really good. We do have a small spot here, and we've got a small spot there. Not a big deal. I'm not worried about it at all. Actually, I want to try to stand this bed up on end. It's got a big hollow spot between the outside wall and the inside wall. So what I'd like to do is go up from the bottom and put a couple big round hole saw holes in it, so I can get in there and clean all the rust out, and hopefully nothing lays in there and makes it worse. If I can, I'm going to get in there and try to treat it with some Master Coat silver paint to hopefully make it live a little longer. We'll see, and I'll document it and share it with you guys on the channel. So look, keeps it reals. Catch me on the next one. Your boy is Todd's. So I'm just going to go ahead and then rough cut this frame right behind the cab, and then when I get it over to the shop and get it cleaned up, then we'll do our final cut. So let's go ahead and burn this baby loose. Really? How appropriate the fire whistle too. And just like that, it's apart. So now we have our rear section of frame that we're going to use to fix the other J10 frame. Now, I just rough cutted it, like that word. So I just gave it a rough cut. Like I said, what I'm going to do is we're probably going to do an angle cut, something like that. And I'm thinking I'm going to do it inside this crossmember. This crossmember's got a couple rivets that hold it in. We'll cut the rivets off, knock the crossmember out, make a repair there. But what I need to see is how easy this crossmember is going to move before I cut anything. If not, we'll cut it up here or maybe here. But right now I'm thinking right here, put the crossmember back in and all. But we'll wait and see. It all depends. I got a couple brake lines in there I need to cut, fuel line, and then this whole unit will roll back. So that's pretty much it for today because it's going to rain. And that's kind of why I wanted to cut it now. That way I can be done with it. It's supposed to rain all day tomorrow. You might not really be able to see. She's dark. Out there on the other side of the trees is where the water is. That's Bayside. It's looking pretty rough out there. It's already some rain droplets here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this hooked up on the wrecker, and we'll just probably carry it around back for the night, call it a day on this project. Well, as you can see, that didn't go as planned. Forgot to cut the brake line, fuel line, and pulled it off the blocks. So I'll have to pick that up tomorrow. I'm not doing it today. So the frame's off the truck. And of course, it knocked a bunch of stuff off the back of the truck. You know, it's just never anything easy. Saving all these little bolts. Had them sitting on the back of the truck in this here, and it knocked them all over. I tell you. Some days I wonder why I work on this junk. It can be so frustrating sometimes. But this is what we deal with. This is what we go through. Owning and buying junk. So, there's always something new around this joint. But, at least I got all the bolts picked up. And I got the frame off. So there it is. Now I got to say, this little wrecker here, I bought that little truck about 12 years ago. And I use that as like a piece of equipment around here. And even at the old shop. So if you followed me before we moved down to this place, you saw I used the hell out of that little truck. The most handiest thing I've ever had. I mean, I've owned tow trucks my whole life, and you know, I've always had some, but back in the day when I was running trucks, you know, a hydraulic truck like this, you didn't really use it as a junkyard truck like I use it today. We were still using these on the road. But now that it's really technically kind of outdated for towing cars, because believe it or not, this does not have a wheel lift. It's just a sling truck, twin line, and it would have just had a sling. I bought it about 8 years ago. It had a brand new motor in it, but it had a bunch of stuff cobbled up under the hood. Needed exhaust and stuff, so I did all that, put a brand new exhaust system on, all new manifolds. It had a high-rise single plane intake on it. I don't know why. Took that off, put a dual plane intake on it, put a brand new 600 Holly on it. I actually bought rocker panels and cab corners and stuff. I had planned on one day straightening the body up and putting a coat of paint on it, making it look nice. It needs the brakes going through. The brakes are getting a little scary. And it's from sitting around and using it as like a junkyard truck. In fact, if you run the motor, if you run the truck real long, like on the day like today, because it's hot out, it's 80-some degrees out here, 85 or 87 or something like that. It's got a bad brake hose on the front, and the passenger side brake caliper will lock up on you. You got to kind of force it. So someday someday here soon, we're going to have to go through the brakes on this old truck and get them straightened out. But you know, this old truck will sit for 2-3 weeks sometimes. I pump the gas twice, it lights right up. It's a good truck. Winches are not very fast on these old Homes. This is a Homes 1200 Commander. Not very fast. I did buy a newer pump for it. I was going to change the pump. I did change the fluid filter and the return hose a couple of years ago because the return hose was starting to collapse. Thought that maybe that would help it, but it's about the same. So I bought a newer style pump that's got a little bit more volume to it. So maybe that'll pick the winch speed up a little bit, but for right now, it gets the job done. So we got that thing hanging up there. We'll hit it with a pressure washer, and then we'll take some of the garbage that we don't need off of it. It's got a trailer hitch, we'll cut that off. It's got some other brackets on there, we'll go cut them off, get the old shocks off of it and all that trash off of there. We'll pressure wash it, and we'll hit it with a small grinder and get it cleaned up to where it looks presentable. And then I'm gonna figure out where we're gonna cut it. So this time is where I'm gonna end the video because I am burned out. It's 5 o'clock, it's dinner time. It's time to go get a shower and go get a steak. So look, holla at your boy, keeps it reals. Tomorrow I'll pick that cab up and put it back on some stands. That really pissed me off. But you know, it's just par for the course when you're working with junk. Gas tank's no good, so I'll throw it in the trash tomorrow, and I'll pick the cab up, get it back on some cinder blocks. So I just want to sit normal because I got to cut the front rear out of it. And I think I'm just going to wrap it up with a tarp because I don't know what else I want to keep off of it yet. The doors are kind of rough. The fenders are rough, but it's got a good grill, good radiator support. Of course, front bumper we're going to keep. And there's a bunch of other trinkets and stuff on it that we'll save because these things really, at the end of the day, are not in a junkyard anymore. So we'll try to save as much as we can off of it before we send it to the big coffin in the sky. So look, holla at your boy. Keeps it real. Catch me on the next one.